the data becomes current, authentic, and then you have some business intelligence software. You can load a software on the existing MIS software. You can use any other third-party software, and you will build a stage, what is called as decision support system. This slide shows a study done in certain mid-sized countries in Europe. It is not as if this is directly relevant to us. I mean, I feel that in most of the e-government projects, there is not much that India can learn from the world experience. We have different demography, we have different psyche, we have different problems of digital divide. Hence, I personally feel when it comes to implementation, managing the paradigm shift, there is not much we can learn. But this particular slide shows some interesting findings which may be applicable to India. We normally feel that when government implements citizen-centric or government implements an e-government project, we are going to get terribly benefited. But the economic is a little different. If you look at that, see, every e-government process would undergo 4 cycles. First cycle is an information stage where you share information. Second would be interaction stage, a maturing of e-government project. Second would be a interaction stage where you can interact with the citizens through certain single window systems or portal. Third is the transaction stage where you transact with each other. There can be electronic commerce, there can be any other transaction which we do. And the fourth stage is the stage where the organization gets transformed as a result of the previous 3 stages. Now, we don't have many organizations which have got transformed. Maybe MCA is one example which might get transformed. Income tax is another example which might get transformed. But for transformation of income tax department or MCA, using the data collected by e-government, it might take a couple of more years. But this slide says that from information stage to transformation stage, the benefits to government go on much more than the benefits given to the obtained by the citizen. So this slide only tries to make a point that the return on investment made on e-government in a sustained and successful project is much more to government than the citizen. This is a typical deployment architecture which we use whenever we implement e-government in any municipality. What it says is the lowest bottom is that we network all the locations. Like in Mumbai, we have around 150 locations networked. In Maharashtra, when we are going to implement 231 municipal bodies, initially it will be distributed architecture, but then we will bring it back and we'll see that they collapse on a data center. The ongoing projects like SDC, SWAN, Mr. Ashish Sanyal would obviously be talking about it and he's championing that. On the network, the wide area network, then we have a core modules managing the re-engineered rules of business. On the top of that, we have application managing important civic services. And then we have a cutting edge, that is a CFC, Citizen Facilitation Center, or internet. Again, internet use, as we have realized, is hardly 5% or so people are using internet for payments or services. I hope that number will go on increasing. So this is my last slide. I have another couple of minutes left. Actually, I wanted to spend maximum time on this slide, but I seem to have messed up. So, see, the learning which we have out of all the projects, I have tried to summarize here. The e-government project starts when the IT project ends. Now, we from the IT industry must realize that implementing a software project, going live, is end up only 40% of the project for the government. The rest of the 60% starts after the IT project is over. There's a challenge of data management, there's a challenge of cleansing the data, there's a challenge of paradigm shift, there's a challenge of discontinuation of the manual processes, there's a challenge of handling excessive public scrutiny of the projects. So there are a lot of challenges which you face. So the rest of the 60% is the institutionalization of information technology. So out of 100% of e-government project, 40% is IT project, and once IT project goes through, rest of the 60% is the e-government project, where the decision makers, the one who spends the money, needs to focus more on institutionalization of IT. The second learning is BPR is imperative, but must be pragmatic. We have been talking about administrative reforms. In the industry parlance, it is GPR, government process re-engineering, or it is BPR, business process re-engineering. It is imperative. You cannot implement e-government project by electronically duplicating, but you need to be pragmatic about it. I remember the advertisement of a bulb called a Lakshman Sylvania bulb, where the model would come and say कि मुझे 50 bulb दे दो, घर के सब बदल दूंगा. You can't take that approach while doing BPR. You need to be pragmatic. You cannot change the whole world overnight. I have come across certain heated arguments with some of my customers, where he would say at the end of implementation of the e-government project, I want my organization to be transformed like this. I said, what you could not do in last 60 years, I cannot do in one project. You be very clear that we are going to give you a tool to achieve good governance. All the inefficiencies in the system, all the psyche problems, all the issues which are there over a period of last 60 years, you are not giving me a contract to change that. So you must ensure that over a period of time, what is the reaction of the cutting edge of the government to BPR? You cannot make such a change where the cutting edge finds completely lost. So my point is, this actually, as I told you, I have done a little bad time management, but the BPRs must be pragmatic. You must think carefully before changing the organization using the BPR rule. If it is not sustainable, it can become the sole reason for killing the project. Security is not optional. Generally, whenever we implement a project, the highest focus used to be on functionalities. Highest focus would be on what I want out of the system. I must get this out of the system. My bills must be printed correct. My certificate must be right. So there's a lot of focus, lot of debate, lot of discussion on how the functionality should be accurate. Normally, the security would be at the bottom of the pyramid. At least we have our projects which have come to a stage where 3 years, 4 years, 5 years completed, and we feel we are sitting on a bomb. We have not paid attention to the security to the extent we should have paid. And I'm not referring to security as in certain IS certification or BS certification. I am talking about as simple things as one unique password being used by one user, password not being pasted on the table, password not starting with your wife's name, son's name, and your initials and your birth year. Or I'm talking about very basic level security which is not provided in the system. Nowadays, we use customized solutions. Nowadays, we use ready-made packages. So security exists. But even the validations in the system, unless the domain person sits with the IT person, there would not be right validation in the system. Technology is not the focus, good governance is. E-government projects cannot be driven keeping technology in the center. It's my business to confuse customer to get maximum money out of him by talking about technology which he doesn't understand but pretends as if he's understanding. That's a wrong approach. In case electronic government projects have to sustain, we must ensure that it is driven by good governance. Only then administrators find it interesting. Only then they find that it belongs to them, and only then they can contribute. So technology is extremely important, but that is not the central focus of the e-government projects. Last but not the least, we all say seeing is believing. I would say in e-government, we must believe that e-government will happen. It can happen. Only in those circumstances you can see that. So in e-government, we need to turn it upside down. Believing is seeing. Thank you very much.